So I have talked about the fact that I have started 40 small businesses, at least. It's probably maybe closer to 45 now. Anyway, and one of those small businesses that I've started after age 70 was masterminds. And I had three mastermind groups going before COVID hit. Unfortunately, COVID didn't help those mastermind groups very well because you couldn't meet in person. But one of the benefits and the things about masterminds is that you get a group of clever people around you in order to make your job better, make the results of your efforts better. And I understand, because you teased it, that that's what you've done with this particular show. You've gone out and gotten some brain power outside of your own massive noggin, and you're going to bring us some intelligentsia.
Yes, when you asked me, Randy, to bring 10 questions that I would want to ask Elon, I thought, okay, no problem. But then I watched your show with Larry. I watched your show with Scott. I watched your show with Nick. And then I don't know who else you might have interviewed since then.
Jeff and Brian White, yeah.
All right. So I probably stopped watching because I couldn't take it anymore. I became seriously worried about my ability to ask the intelligent questions that those guys had.
I've been actually shocked at the variety, and none of those have tripped on each other, even though I don't think they had watched the other shows. And it's been a huge variety, very interesting.
So my idea was, since I didn't think that I could come up with any better questions than they did, was go to the people.
Ah.
I went to the people of X, Randy.
See.
And I asked them the questions. And so instead of 10, I have 25
Wow.
questions for you.
Wow.
Right? So let's begin. Here is my post. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Right? So if you could ask Elon any question or on some aspect of Tesla's business and future, what would it be?
And by the way, folks can add their own down below in the description, because we want those people also to be part of this effort, that we're coming up with the very best questions we can. All right, go ahead.
We do. We're trying to crowdsource this.
Yes.
A couple things. First, I would say that I got many great answers, and I will share 25 of them today.
Okay.
There were also many answers that were, or questions that were political in nature. I excluded those. Right? And you can imagine that's on people's minds. And that's fair. I get it. But I was just trying to focus on Tesla here.
Sure.
And there were also some questions relating to SpaceX and so on. So I excluded those as well for the most part.
Okay.
So if you responded to this and don't see your question highlighted, don't be offended. I can only show so many, but thank you all for all of the questions that were offered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, the next thing is this image. This came from Grok.
Yeah.
And I forget exactly what my prompt was, but it gave me this image of Elon. He looks pretty regal. He's got this brooch, it looks like, from, I don't know what century that's from.
Yeah.
It's not really
a past.
I'm sorry?
Either the future or a past.
Yeah, well, it definitely looks like it's a bit from the past, although with the two moons behind him, it's kind of future-esque. So James Stevenson actually called me out on this.
Ah.
And he said the dress regalia of any Oracle of Austin worth his brisket would feature a red, white, and blue color palette with a 5-pointed star design motif. And I said, agreed, good sir. Grok has been informed of its mistake, and Grok has duly responded with this updated image of the Oracle of Austin at the ready to pontificate. Now, James, being the detailed perfectionist that he is, wasn't quite satisfied. Okay. He said he needed more tassels. And I agree, but I said the problem was there's a shortage of tassels post-pandemic.
Yes.
In addition to people stocking up on toilet paper, they also bought a lot of tassels, and so there's a shortage still. So anyway, James took it upon himself to give me the correct image, and here it is. Here's Elon dressed as the Oracle of Austin.
With plenty of tassels.
Plenty of tassels. So James was able to find some that I couldn't.
Yeah.
So thank you, James, for your assistance on this. This is much appreciated. Even though I was asking for questions, I got more than I bargained for.
Indeed.
But I do like this image of the Oracle of Austin.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let me highlight one of the questions. And I was actually quite pleased with my response on this, okay?
Okay.
This guy says, when will Tesla fanboys stop using these ridiculous, cringeworthy images? That's my question. And my response was, great question.
Oh, man.
Cringeworthy image of Elon. So that's my humor, Randy. I'm sorry. Thank you for that moment. We'll go on to more serious topics now.
The best question. Okay.
All right. Here are 25 people's questions for Elon.
Okay.
And I've taken the names off of these. So there are some questions that were very similar. If you're interested to see them, you can go to the post. You can post your own. You can post it on this video.
Right.
So here we go. Vehicles. How will Tesla address the long tail of vehicle types like ambulances, garbage collection trucks, and cranes?
Yeah.
Right, and there's more examples, but I thought that was an interesting question because obviously we want to convert everything to electric.
Yeah, I think the number one is tractors.
Yeah.
And you could do a whole show on the potential future of electric and automated tractors. Fascinating subject.
Tractors and tractor trucks, not to be confused with the two.
No, tractors that you use to farm. Yes, those kind
Farming tractors. Yeah. Yeah. Number two, if Tesla discovers that the only way to make FSD work with high degree of safety is to use hardware 5, would they be willing to upgrade older models who paid for FSD?
Right. Great question.
Now, I think James 𝐒𝐚𝐽 has answered a similar question to this and basically saying that Tesla has every incentive
Yes.
to make sure every vehicle
Yes.
can run FSD CAN. And so if it's necessary to provide the hardware or to make it at a reasonable cost, they would.
Right.
So
and the people who would be most interested in hardware 5 would probably be willing to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. It would certainly be cost effective to pay for it if you wanted it. And yeah, absolutely. Number 3, how are Tesla's on-device inference weights protected from duplication by competitors in countries where IP is not protected by law? So it's an interesting question. It does beg the question about if you just got the inference weights, whether or not that would be enough.
Yeah.
Elon has talked about how AI is kind of like a big CSV file, just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
My guess is it's a little bit more to it than that, but I'm showing my ignorance in terms of the technical aspect.
I can't even speak to it.
Yeah. These are questions for Elon. I guess they're not for us.
Not for us.
Yeah. 4, if the future of Tesla is autonomy and FSD is right around the corner, is there a point in Tesla coming out with a low-cost, high-volume car, Model 2? Why not go from the S3, X, and Y to robotaxi directly?
Yeah, very good question. I think this is a question. There's a bigger question here in terms of the crossover to everybody using autonomy. How does that impact car sales downstream? And I've spoken to this quite a lot, but I would love to hear Elon's detailed analysis of what he thinks is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to take some time, obviously, for robotaxi to be everywhere. So maybe in the intervening time, a low-cost vehicle makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
5, when are we getting FSD in Mexico? I'm guessing this person lives in Mexico. Good question. I think everybody in every country wants FSD, so you could substitute your country in there. Canadians were asking this question for a long time.
Very, very good show on Monday night with Larry. If people want to go back and take a look at it, we talked about his show. Or no, I think I talked about it with Brian White, rather. Larry had done a show with one of his, a friend in Norway, where they talked about the UN regs that are being developed right now. And it's very likely that those UN regs would be adopted by Mexico. So that might be a part of the answer to that question.
There you go. Are you planning to build a van? Well, a van-like shape has been under wraps on their slide deck for a while.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But interesting question. Number 7, has Tesla moved away from the goals of 20 million cars sold per year and 50% growth per year?
Yes, and variations on that question might be, well, what would be the new numbers?
Yeah.
Is it 19 or 17 or 15 million? And then somebody asked the other day, how does it break down? It's kind of like the question 5, or no, sorry, question 4, how many of those would be robotaxis? How many of those would be passenger cars not for robotaxi use?
Yeah, my thought on that is if robotaxi is doing really well, then the sooner you stop selling vehicles, the better.
Right.
Why make 20 million vehicles a year if you don't need to?
Right.
Right. The whole idea is to get our transportation system to a point where it's sustainable and, we've got the right number of vehicles on the road.
Right.
No more and no less. As a shareholder, certainly 50% growth sounds good.
Yeah.
But I'd rather, I guess, have 50% growth or more in the profit from,
Yes.
robotaxi than the
Yes.
number of vehicles sold, where the profit's much smaller. Yep. But yeah, good question. Like what are the new targets, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Number 8, when do we get flying cars, Randy?
Elon has said she's not a fan of flying cars.
All right. Well, there you go. So we'll take that off the list. It's been answered. All right. Humanoid bots. Number 8. Number 9. Will there be a bot beta program? Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, actually, who brought it up? Was it Jeff? Somebody in the last 24 hours brought this question up also, and we discussed it a little bit, and it would make sense. Actually, Warren Redlich, I want to say a year and a half ago, brought it up on my show. Maybe brought it up in his show first, and then my show. The idea of people being able to get these for, even $30,000 a piece, $40,000 a piece. There would be plenty of wealthy people that would be thrilled to be the first on their block and then use them as betas. Yeah.
The folks at 1X have suggested that in order to get the diversity of data you need to train the bot, the home environment is the key.
Right.
So if they're right about that, then a bot beta program is likely. 10, will Optimus be sold into military service? If so, will there be terms of limited use?
So we know that Elon doesn't like the idea of his products being used for offensive purposes in military, but we know that he already sells his products for defensive purposes. The second part of my analysis on that one would be somebody will be selling the US government bots, humanoid bots, for military purposes.
Yeah, and you have to also remember too that bots can be very useful sort of behind the scenes, not on the front line, but in the supply lines,
right.
Building weapons, delivering, fixing things, right?
Yes.
It's kind of the guns and butter concept I've heard Scott Walter talk about, right? You can either make the guns, but it's also important to make all the stuff you need behind the scenes.
Exactly. And then Elon has also said that he believes the future of warfare is drones, which is something that I agree with him on. And I've been trying to persuade Brian Wong that I'm right and that Elon's right. I think the drones, why do you need an earthbound bot if you can get a bot that's flying around in the sky that might be the size of a mosquito or the size of a B-52? And it's a drone. I don't know that you need any bots that would be walking around for war purposes.
Yeah, unless you want to kill them with kindness. My idea is that the South Koreans should send, 50 million humanoids into North Korea and just be as friendly and as helpful as possible.
There you go.
Number 11, will all Optimus Tesla bots be inherently capable of performing all necessary diagnostics and repairs on other Optimus bots?
Yeah. If one is, all will.
Yes. So the bots are also doctors.
Yes,
Can they do that on humans?
of course. We already have,
There
I
you
don't
go.
know if you're, I don't know if my, if the audience is aware of this, but there are already bots. They're not humanoid bots, but there's bots that you can put on the chest of a human being that can do open heart surgery remotely from across continents.
There you go. So you've also didn't just given career advice to people that are thinking about going to medical school.
Yes, right.
They might want to reconsider. Yeah. All right. Energy. 12. Where and when will the third Megapack factory be built?
Good one.
What's your guess on that, Randy?
Lathrop.
Oh, the expanding Lathrop?
Yes, I think they'll put a second facility or expand the facility. I think I think it makes a lot of sense to maximize or have a lot more coming out of that one factory because it's right by the water, and you can barge them around or put them on ships and move them around quite nicely. So anyway, other ideas that people have talked about is East Coast of California and Australia. Those are, I think, two of the ones that have been most talked about.
Sorry, you said East
I
Coast
mean,
of
East Coast of the United States, rather,
United States, yeah.
and Australia as two other extremely likely places for Indonesia, Europe. Those have also been part of the discussion.
Makes sense. 13. Where is the electricity to run all his rapidly expanding data centers going to come from? And will it be enough given the speed of expansion necessary to keep up / stay on top?
This is like in my world, as I analyze things from day to day, is the most important question, period. I've stated over and over on this channel, I'll state it again now just for fun, is that I think that Elon Musk is misusing his opportunity with the new Trump administration. Even as much as we need somebody to do an efficiency department, what we really need is somebody to oversee a massive national project like a moonshot project where all guns, everybody is focused on how do we get to being the most productive electric country in the world, because it's going to be strategically important to be ahead of everybody on that. So that's my 2 cents.
And that's certainly an area, though, where regulation has really hindered us, so that
Yes.
they're kind of related. But yes, you're talking about more than just getting rid of regulations or right sizing them. You're talking about actual strategy,
right,
to build what we need. Yep.
I mean, Tony Seba still thinks we can be 100% electricity by 2030, but I don't think that is even remotely possible if we don't have a federal top-down, all hands on deck effort to make it happen.
Like the Chinese have.
Right.
Good answer, Andy. Good answer. All right, batteries, number 14. 4680 ramping plans. What are the implications for Cybertruck, Semi, and Model Y?
I think you just did that yesterday. I'll put the card right here, but don't go away. No, I'm not going to put the card here. I'm going to put the card at the end because I don't want you to leave now.
All right, we covered it. All right, the next remaining questions are in a category I labeled other.
Okay.
So we have some interesting ones here, okay? All right. 15. When will Tesla insurance be available in Florida or any other state that doesn't have it? I live in Florida. This was not my question, but I am interested in the answer.
We hit 39, I think. No, this is not insurance. I'm sorry, confused. Never mind.
You're talking about the X payment.
Yes, X payments.
Yeah. Yeah, Tesla insurance has been painfully slow to get approved in many states, and it's kind of baffling why.
Oh, are you kidding me? The insurance lobby. Yeah, these guys don't want Tesla to be improved. Oh my goodness, no. Yeah,
it shouldn't seem to be that difficult, right? You should be able to meet certain requirements, and then you're good to go.
California, we have we're the weird state. In California, we have Tesla insurance, but we don't have it based on the new system of point score based on your driving capability or your driving habits. And so we're still paying through the nose for it, where we could be getting it a lot cheaper.
Yeah, well, I'd rather pay through the nose and give the money to Tesla than somebody else, but yeah. So that's truly a question for Elon.
Right.
We can't answer that one. 16, will Tesla pay dividends in the future? Not now, as CapEx to grow the business is more important, but in the future.
Yeah, and that goes along with a whole bunch of secondary questions like stock buybacks or other methods of
Yeah. If my short answer to this is if we're right about the potential of humanoid bots, then Tesla is going to have more cash flow than they know what to do with.
won't be able to spend it. Yep.
You can add whatever wish list you have on here, whether stock buybacks, dividends, you name it. Yes, 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 they can do it all at some point. 17, who would succeed you? Interesting question to ask him today, right? If he
Yeah, excellent question. And I did a quick, maybe you've done this in more detail. I did a quick analysis of this one day in terms of how many companies have public succession plans. Very few.
Yeah.
Very few.
Right. Yep. 18. There's a little bit of a slant to this one, but I included it because I hear a lot or similar questions. Why so tone deaf about Tesla's lack of visibility to 99% of the world, and how tweeting about it to the remaining 1% will help? So this is not a political slant, but it's just more of, kind of the advertising question, right?
Right.
You're preaching to the choir. What are you doing to make Tesla more visible to the rest of the world?
We had an interesting discussion. Yeah, go ahead.
When I was visiting Lewis last weekend and showing my Cybertruck, some of his neighbors walked up and they didn't know what it was. They didn't, it was a Tesla. Right. Now it's a new vehicle, so I understand that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the point here is a good point, I think, to think about.
We had an interesting discussion about that the other day too. I can't remember with who. And one of my thoughts that came out of the conversation was, once full self-driving is level 5 and or robotaxi is on the street for a real thing, I think if the advertising doesn't start, then I give up.
Yeah.
That would be the time to advertise both the car and the robotaxi service, or to advertise the whole FSD concept, which would also sell the car.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I haven't looked into this, but I wonder how much Uber and Lyft advertise.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think they do, but I don't see their ads. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there must be some. Yeah. Maybe I'll research that a little bit for next time.
Sure.
19, can you please sell Twitter?
Or X.
Obviously there's a bit of a slant here. There's some frustration, as though Twitter is the source of all the problems Tesla has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand that Jensen Huang, when he bought that publication company or that social services company, the stock went down like 35%. Oh, no, wait. He didn't buy any social media company and it still went down 30%. So,
yeah. Number 20, I just thought it was funny. I included it for fun. When are you coming back to work? Elon is like no other, in my opinion, Elon is like no other CEO. He's got so many different businesses that we've talked about on the show before, how all his companies are disrupting, 20% of the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Maybe the question here is, when will you focus more on Tesla?
Yeah.
But still, even then, there's a lot going on in Tesla. There's dozens of people that produce shows every day about what's going on in Tesla. There's so much happening.
Yeah, it's somebody, we added it up. Was that you or somebody else we talked about before? I think there's 18 startup companies within Tesla. Something on that order, at least 18 startup companies. And, it's just, and there's new ones popping up all the time. I mean, so yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Studies have been done. Entrepreneurs cannot focus after the job is 70% done. When any project, when any new product, when any new startup is 70% done, they just will not focus on that startup anymore. They have to be able to give that to somebody, to the engineers and to the managers, and let them manage it and run it. And they are off to the next thing. And that's just how entrepreneurs work. The true entrepreneurs, not the companies people that own a retail store or something where they're just a manager, but they're not doing anything entrepreneurial really. But for the ones who are like Elon, 70%, he's done. He's done with the project. Move on. Need a new bright, shiny object.
Yeah. And to your point, and maybe this is number 19 of the startups within Tesla, question 21.
Okay.
How did you get your hair to grow back so thick from your time at PayPal? And why haven't you made that one of your businesses? You could make billions. So there's another business idea, Randy.
I'm going to guess that he had the most expensive implant ever.
Yeah, but maybe there's some space age material we don't know of.
Right.
22. Can Tesla help to resolve world hunger?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great to hear him talk about it.
Right. On the surface of this question, you could sort of dismiss it and say, this is kind of a weird question. But when you think about what autonomy will do for people, reducing the cost of transportation, that frees up money for other things, also humanoid robots, and being able to produce things at low cost and create an abundance like we've never had before.
Yep.
It frees up resources.
Yep.
And also, of course, efficient transportation systems. We have plenty of food in the world. It's just not in the right place.
Well, there's plenty of food in the world anyway. The truth is we can feed the world at this point. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
But Brian Wong has done some deep dive studies showing that you have to transport the fertilizer to the farm. You have to transport the feed, the feedstock, the seeds to the farm. Now you have transportation vehicles on the farm. Well, you just talked about tractors doing the work. Now you have to transport that from the farm to the silo or to the manufacturing facility in order to manufacture it. Meanwhile, you're transporting the packaging materials all to the factories in order. Now you have a finished product that has to be transported to the distribution centers or to the retailers. If it goes to distribution centers, it has to be retransported to the retailers. So all of that transportation is, I think he figured out it could be, 10, 15, 20% of the cost of it would reduce, by going to electric, it would reduce the cost of all food products by 10%. It'd be like a tax cut of 10%.
Yeah, very significant for sure. So anyway, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear Elon's response to that.
Yeah, it'd be great.
23. Are you training an AI so that after your death, your digital copy will still be with the company and with all of us?
Yeah, but we need the AI to be that next level thing that actually can do intuitive, extrapolative, types of thinking, as opposed to we're not quite there yet. But yeah, it's a great question though. I love that question.
Yeah. 24. What is the correct question to ask? The other day, by the way, quick aside here. My mother is packing up some boxes and she needed to know how many would fit in the back of a Cybertruck. Right. And my brother helped her using AI to determine how many of the boxes that she had would fit. And do you know what the answer was, Randy? 42.
42.
So that is the answer. That's the right question to the answer of 42. How many boxes fit in the back of a Cybertruck? We've been looking at this for decades now.
Yeah. So what is
the right question?
So what is the correct question to ask? Has so many layers, so many possible layers to that question. Love it. Love it.
And then the last one, this would be fun to ask them if you're sitting at, a bar next to them and you're just, kind of hanging out with them.
Right.
So what do you have up your sleeve that we don't know about?
Yeah. And my guess would be, well, we know about VTOLs, vertical takeoff and lift vehicles. We know that that's on his list. We know, of course, that some kind of a oh, what's the darn name of them? The fast underground trains, in the tube. Yeah,
The Hyperloop.
yeah, the Hyperloop. We know that's on his list. We know that HVAC, of course, is on his list, using the octa valve approach. That's the one I'm waiting for. I've been hoping that my air conditioning holds on long enough to where I can get that instead of buying a new air conditioning system. What other, do you remember any others that are particularly that Elon has already mentioned that he'd like to do someday?
I'm sure there are a few others. They're not coming to mind for me right now. You mentioned the ones that come to my mind.
Yeah, I can tell you that I have, again, with over 40 companies that I've started in my life, I've also had, I can't tell you how many others that never got started. So I invented the double-headed shower. Before anybody else, there was no such thing. I invented the puzzles using venticulars. So, you know, a venticular is that stuff where you look at it, it's got like a plastic cover on a picture, and the plastic cover has lines in it that make it either shift and make it look two different ways, or make it look, give it depth or whatever. So venticulars on a puzzle would allow you, as you're putting the pieces together, the pieces will be changing the design. Now, those are now on the market, but they were not when I invented the concept. So anyway, I have many, many inventions over the years that never made it to market. And I'm sure Elon has inventions on a much greater and more interesting level than double-headed showers that he has.
Yeah, and he has said before, it's, you know, the ideas are easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It's the, you know, making a prototype's easy. It's the production that's hard. And of course, it's time, right? He's only got so many things he can think about.
Yeah, and then when you do think of it, like he's talked about the flying cars, that the flying cars to him don't actually make sense. They might be possible to do.
Yeah.
He got involved in it, he probably could do it, but he doesn't think they make sense because it's better to go underground than to go above ground, is his feeling. Noise is one of the problems, and collisions, collision
Right.
avoidance, lots and lots of problems. Yeah.
Yeah, airspace gets pretty crowded pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, CERN, that was a brilliant, use of the concept of what is the question. Question number 4.
But yes, and I want to thank everybody that supplied their questions. That was really great.
Yeah.
And thank you to those that I didn't highlight here, but thank you for your questions.
Yeah, and that should inspire a lot of you to go ahead and down below to add your questions in the list below. I think I'm going to have to use Grok to sift through the 25, and I think I've already got something on the order of 50 this week. So plus this 25, I haven't even added my own yet. And then we've got more coming up. Got Warren Redlich coming up this weekend. He's going to have his list. We've got Bradford Ferguson tonight. Brian Wong is going to have a list. Yeah, so we've just got a whole bunch of folks that are going to be contributing, and we're going to hone this down, hopefully to a really, really good, maybe 25 or 20 or something like that, and then we'll post them and see if Elon wouldn't, maybe he'll do it out of the goodness of his heart and just come on my show, Elon, and answer them on this show.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Randy, is you should tell Elon that you have gathered questions from thousands of people.
Right.
And you have the best questions to ask him.
Right.
Right. And here's an opportunity for him to answer the most burning questions from the Tesla community.
Right. That's right.
You should do it on your show.
And actually what we should do is I should then turn the whole list over to Dr. John, to John Gibbs, and let John Gibbs do it on his show, because Elon already promised him a show, and John should get the first shot.
Well, that's true. John has been promised an interview with Elon. I think that's probably been 2 or 3 years now. But maybe John just doesn't have the right questions yet. And so, yes, that's another idea.
That's right. That's right. All right. Yeah. One way or the other, we're going to get this done. We need the answers. And of course, the answer is 42. Yeah.
But it was in this case. That was, we just didn't know the question to ask, and that we figured it out.
Okay, CERN, you keep on outdoing yourself. So thank you for bringing that show, and to all of you out there. But by the way, this guy, in case you ever need help deciding where to put your millions, CERN's the guy. He's got a company, spectacular ideas. No, that's not it. Let's see. Amazing, unbelievably clever. No, that's not it. I'm getting close. Brilliant, brilliant ideas.
Close, Randy. Brilliant advice. And it's brilliant as in bright.
Is it bright?
Yeah. We
That's
might
what
run foul with the SEC if we say that, that our thinking is brilliant. We try to be. We aspire to be brilliant thinkers.
Yes, yes. That's why
Yeah.
your mother called you son,
Exactly.
but you were brilliant. Yes, absolutely. Anyway, check him out. Follow him on X. He's getting very, very active on X. I've noticed there's a lot of activity going on X right now with CERN and with me as well. So if you're not following me on X, that would be also a good thing to do. All right, CERN, I'm going to cut you loose. It's been great. I've enjoyed every minute of it. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Thanks, Randy.